So I am going to begin centripetal acceleration. Acceleration. Yesterday I was explaining the derivation of this formula. Its formula. What is the formula? That is A equals to V square upon R. Now all of you see here. Here there is a particle which is describing uniform circular motion. Now see here, first you know which quantities remain constant in uniform circular motion. So as we know that in uniform circular motion, speed will remain constant. There is one term, angular acceleration. Angular acceleration means rate of change of angular velocity that will also remain constant. It's clear? Because the direction of angular velocity is not changing. It is not changing, therefore that will also remain constant. It's clear? And moving uniformly, therefore neither magnitude and nor direction is changing. And what will be the direction? Already I have told. If it is anti-clockwise, uniform circular motion is anti-clockwise, then angular velocity will be normal to the plane of paper and vertically upward. If it is clockwise, then it will be what? It will be vertically downward. It is clear? But its velocity will change, its acceleration will change, all these things will change. The speed and angular velocity will not change. It's clear? But that velocity will change, acceleration will change, momentum will change or not. Can you tell whether momentum will change or not? So, audio is reaching. So see here, now we will find out the acceleration. So as we know that acceleration equals to rate of change of velocity, delta V upon delta T. Now here we will find out the change in velocity. So suppose at any instant it is at point A, and in time delta T, it moves by an angle delta theta about the center of the circle. In time delta T, it moves by an angle delta theta about the center of the circle. And let in that time it moves by what distance on the circumference? It is moving delta S distance on the circumference. What will be the velocity at point A? It will be in the tangential direction. It will be in the tangential direction. It's clear? So that I have shown here. At point B, also it will be in tangential direction. Now these two arrows will be of equal length. Why they will be of equal length? Why these arrows are of equal length? Because the speed is same. That's why they will be of equal length. These arrows will be of equal length. Now, what will be the angle between these two directions? So, angle between these two directions is this. This is the angle. You have to find this angle. How will you find this angle? Is delta theta. This is angle between radius and tangent. Therefore, 90. Angle between radius and tangent. Therefore, 90. It's clear. So, what will be this angle? If you see this, then it will be, as we know that sum of all the angles of quadrilateral equals to 360 degree. Sum of all the angles of quadrilateral is 360 degree. Therefore, what will be this angle? This point you can name as, in earlier I named as what? You can see here. I will not name it. So this angle will be 180 minus delta theta. This angle is 180 minus delta theta. So what will be this angle? This will be equal to delta theta. Now here I have drawn these velocity vector arrows separately. You can see here. Parallel to V1, here V1 is drawn. Its length is same as this. And parallel to the V2, this arrow is drawn parallel to V2. And length is also same. What is the angle? Angle will become delta theta. Angle will be delta theta. Now, what is the change in velocity? Change in velocity will be equal to vector V2 minus vector V1. What will be the direction of vector V2 minus vector V1 here? It will be from V1 K arrow से V2 K arrow. It will be from V1 K arrow to V2 K arrow. Means this will be the direction of change in velocity. You can see here, this is the direction of change in velocity. Means it is representing to the change in velocity vector delta V. Okay. Now, if you join here A and B, this and this point, A and B, you can see here, I'm joining A and B. There is one triangle OAB and another triangle RPQ. In triangle OAB, you can see angle AOB equals to delta theta. What is OA upon OB? OA upon OB. OA and OB are the radii. Therefore, it will be R upon R. R upon R will be equal to 1. It will be equal to 1. Now you see here, in the triangle PRQ, what is angle RPQ? Angle RPQ equals to, what will be PR upon PQ? PR upon PQ. PR is the magnitude of vector V1. PQ is the magnitude of vector V2. It is the magnitude of vector V1. It's clear because its length will be proportional to the magnitude of vector V1. Its length will be proportional to the magnitude of vector V2. And since both are of same magnitude, therefore, it will be equal to 1. It will be equal to 1. Now you can see here. Here you can see. Therefore, you can see both the triangles in triangle OAB and triangle PRQ. You can see angle AOB equals to angle RPQ equals to delta theta, and OA upon OB means the sides which are including to these angles. Delta theta is included by these two sides, OA and OB. Similarly, here delta theta, this angle is included in between these two sides, PR and PQ. It's clear. So OA upon OB is equal to PR upon PQ because PR upon PQ 1, OA upon OB is also 1. Therefore, both the triangles will be similar. Therefore, triangle OAB similar to the triangle PRQ. Now, there is a property of the similar triangle. Ratio of their corresponding sides remain same. So see here, which side is corresponding to OA? So it is PR. Which side is corresponding to OA? Here it is PR. Which side is corresponding to OB? It is PQ. And which side is corresponding to AB? It will be equal to RQ. It will be equal to RQ. So you can write OA upon PR equals to OB upon PQ equals to AB upon RQ. Ratio of corresponding sides of similar triangle. Now you put the value OA is what? R. What is PR? It is the magnitude of vector V1, which is simply V. Magnitude of vector V1. OB, it is also R. PQ is magnitude of vector V2. Equals to AB. AB you take simply AB. And RQ will be the magnitude of change in velocity vector. Magnitude of change in velocity vector. Now you already know, here you know that vector V1 and vector V2 both have the same magnitude, which is equal to V. So what will happen to this? It will become R upon V equals to AB upon delta V. AB upon delta V. Now all of you see here, if this angle is very small, delta theta is very small, then this chord AB and RKB both will be of equal length. RKB and chord AB both will be of equal length. If delta theta is negligibly small, tending to 0, then chord AB. How will you write chord AB? Putting a straight line over AB equals to arc AB. How will you write arc AB? Making an arc above the AB. It's clear. And what is the length of arc AB? Already we have taken. It is moving by what distance? Delta S distance over the circumference. Delta S distance over the circumference. So it will be equal to delta S. So in that case, this expression will become R upon V equals to delta S upon delta V. Now all of you see once again whether it is clear or not. You see. Now see here. Now we will determine the value of delta V from here. What will be delta V? Delta V will be equal to V upon R into delta F. Delta V upon delta T. That will be V upon R into delta S upon delta T. When this is delta T is tending to 0, because already I have taken delta theta infinitesimally small tending to 0. It's clear? Tending to 0. So see here, we can write it as limit delta T tending to 0. Delta V upon delta T equals to V upon R into limit delta T tending to 0. This is a way of writing in mathematics to the same thing. We will write what will be its limiting value under this condition. So that will be written in this way. That will be written in this way. Now this is the instantaneous acceleration and this is the instantaneous velocity. This is instantaneous acceleration. Acceleration. And this is instantaneous velocity. Here it is V and here it is A. So you can see here A equals to V upon R into V. Therefore, A equals to V square upon R. Now, what will be the direction of this acceleration? How will you determine the direction? How will you determine the direction of the acceleration? So you can see here, as already I have taken delta theta is tending to 0. When delta theta is tending to 0, therefore suppose it is equal to 1 degree. Suppose it is equal to 1 degree. So what will be the sum of these two angles? It will be equal to 179 degree. Because sum of all the three angles of triangle equals to 180 degree. Since these two angles will be equal, why they will be equal? Because this equals to this. Therefore, angles opposite to them will be equal. So divided by 2. That is 89.5 degree. Each angle will be 89.5 degree, means nearly 90 degree. Nearly 90 degree. It will be nearly 90 degree. Means you can say that change in velocity vector is normal to the vector v1 as well as normal to the vector v2. And what will be the direction of acceleration? Direction of acceleration will be, you can see here. Here I have written somewhere, yes. What will be the direction of acceleration? Direction of acceleration will be same as the direction of change in velocity. What will be the direction of acceleration? Same as the change in velocity. And what is the direction of change in velocity? It is making about 90 degree angle from vector v1 as well as from v2. This means normal to the velocity vector. So which direction is normal to the velocity vector? It is the radial direction. It is the radial direction which always remains normal to the velocity vector. Which always remains normal to the velocity vector. You can see here. Here, this is the direction of acceleration. And since it is directed towards the center of circular path, that's why it is known as centripetal acceleration. It is known as centripetal acceleration. Means there are two names of this. One is radial acceleration. Why we call radial acceleration? H acts along radius. H acts along radius. There is another name here which we call as the centripetal acceleration. Acceleration. And why we call it as centripetal acceleration? As always directed towards center of circular path. Always directed towards center of circular path. Therefore, it is called the centripetal acceleration. Means suppose if particle is here, then what will be the acceleration? Acceleration will be in this direction. If the particle is at this point, what will be the acceleration? It will be along this direction. Whether it is a uniform acceleration or non-uniform. So see here, its magnitude is same, but the direction is continuously changing. Here direction is this, here direction is this, here direction is this, here direction is this. Therefore, it is a non-uniform acceleration. Non-uniform acceleration. It's clear? Though motion is uniform, it is uniform in the sense that its angular velocity is same throughout. Its linear velocity, its speed is same throughout. Its speed is always same. Its angular velocity is always same in magnitude as well as in direction. Therefore, it is uniform. But its velocity, its acceleration is continuously changing because of the change of direction. What will be the direction of velocity? Along tangent. Direction of acceleration along radius. So it is a non-uniform acceleration. So UCM is subjected to non-uniform acceleration. Now, we can write this acceleration in one more form that you can see. There is another form of writing this acceleration. A equals to B square upon R. Since B equals to R into omega, therefore A equals to upon R, that is R square omega square upon R, that is A equals to R omega square. A equals to R into omega square. It's clear? This is another form. Now this is the case of uniform circular motion. Suppose the motion is non-uniform. If the circular motion is non-uniform, what is the meaning of non-uniform? Now you can see here, note. If circular motion is non-uniform, it means particle is moving with a variable speed. That is, particle moves with a variable speed. Speed is not constant. Particle is moving with a variable speed. In that case, what will happen? In this case, particle has two accelerations. Two accelerations. Number one, centripetal acceleration. Centripetal acceleration, which is produced because of the change of direction. This acceleration A is producing because of the change in direction. It is producing because of change in direction. Produced due to the change in, produced due to continuous change in direction. And another is, this is a new tangential acceleration. Here there will be a tangential acceleration also. In non-uniform circular motion, there will be a tangential acceleration also. But here there will be no tangential acceleration. Why? Because the speed is throughout constant. The speed is throughout constant. It is clear? So see here, here you can see tangential acceleration due to change in speed. Due to change in speed. And here it is given by A equals to dV upon dt. It's clear? dV upon dt. Now I am explaining from a diagram. You can see here. Here there is a particle is moving on a circular path. Particle is moving on a circular path with variable speed. Since the speed is variable, therefore it will have two accelerations. One will be the radial acceleration. It is because of the change in direction. It is because of the change in direction. This will be the radial acceleration, which we represent here by AR. Since the speed is also changing, therefore there will be another acceleration, which is the tangential acceleration, which will be always along the tangent that we represent by AT. AT equals to dV upon dt. So what will be the resultant acceleration? How will you find the resultant? So resultant acceleration can be found by completing the parallelogram. You complete the parallelogram. Here this parallelogram has been completed. What will be the resultant acceleration? It will be this. When the speed is also changing, then acceleration will be this. And its magnitude will be equal to, you can write AR square plus AT square. What is AR? AR is V square upon R. So it is V square upon R ka whole square plus dV upon dt whole square. It's clear? Yes. So this will be in case of non-uniform circular motion. Non-uniform circular motion. Now see here, after this you can see there is a force. Since there is an acceleration, therefore particle will also be subjected to a force. Force will also act upon the particle. You can see here particle, suppose the mass of particle is m. So what will be the force acting on the particle? M into A. This is in UCM. This I am talking about UCM. UCM means when speed is uniform. Speed is uniform means there is acceleration only along the radial direction. Only along the radial direction. There will be no tangential acceleration. So see here F equals to M into A. That is M into A is what? V square upon R. R you can write M equals to A is also equals to R omega square. So this force is known as centripetal acceleration force. This force is called the centripetal force. centripetal force. It will always directed towards the center of circular path, means it will be directed here. If the particle is here, what will be the direction of centripetal force? Now, there is an important point regarding the centripetal force. Centripetal force is not any new kind of force. It is not any new kind of force. Always some existing force will contribute for centripetal force. Always some existing force will contribute for CF. In short, we write it as CF, centripetal force. Always some existing force will contribute for CF. Now, all of you see here. Suppose you are going by a bicycle on a leveled road. Here, this is a leveled road, and you are going by the bicycle here. It's clear. Here, this is the bicycle. It's clear. You are going by the bicycle. So see here there will be a friction between the wheels of the bicycle. These are the wheels of the bicycle, and this is the road. There will be some friction. Now this friction will contribute for CF when it is required. Suppose you are going on a leveled road and a turn comes. Here there is a turn, and you have to cross this turn. So see here, when you will come upon the turn, a centripetal force will be required. That centripetal force will be fulfilled by the force of friction. Here, force of friction is already acting when you are bicycling on a leveled road. On a straight leveled road, there is a friction in between the wheels and the road. When you will come upon the turn, what will happen? The same friction will provide the centripetal force which is required at the turn. And suppose the friction is not fulfilled, then CF is not fulfilled, then what will happen? Because you can see here, CF is proportional to the velocity. CF is proportional to the velocity. So if your velocity is more, then what will happen? There will be more CF. There will be more CF. And suppose the friction is only 10 Newton and the requirement of CF is 100 Newton. Friction is only 10 Newton and requirement of CF is 100 Newton. So what will happen? CF will not fulfilled completely. In that case, what will happen? In that case, cyclist will reduce the friction, will reduce the CF. And in what way he will reduce the CF? By adopting a circular path of bigger radius. If radius is more, CF will be less. So cyclist will reduce the CF by adopting a circular path of bigger radius. Means here it is going in this way. In normal course, going this way. But now he is adopting a circular path of bigger radius, means now he will go in this way. And when he goes in this direction, what will happen? He will collide with this edge of the road. He will collide with this edge of the road, or vehicles which are coming from that side. Vehicles which are coming from that side. So he will collide. He will skid in the outward direction, because now adopting a circular path of bigger radius. It's clear? So can you fill the attendance? Those who are large filled, you fill it.